Because not all your covers are the same.
Yeah, but you knew what the cover was before it came. My covers aren't all the same at all. This is the first time you've had the American version.
Yes, that's right. Before it's always been the UK version.
And what are you happier with?
Oh, see, now you're putting us on the spot.
No. When you're not being filmed.
No.
For measurements, I don't mean what you prefer the look of, but do people prefer, because I got the idea that people prefer American measurements.
Well, they do. We just had this discussion before you came in about measurements, and we're saying how Canadians are so screwed up, basically, because we operate in metric, imperial, everything.
Yes.
And a lot of the books now, some of the newer ones, are doing some weights as well. So it's, and we just did Paul and I were at an apple orchard this morning, and I bought half a peck of apples.
Oh, did you?
So, you see, and we have to say, what's a peck, right? Half a peck. 4 pecks equals a bushel.
Yes. But I'm not quite sure what a bushel is either.
No, I mean, it's one of those arcane...
Isn't it, I love you, a bushel and a peck?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's also... There's lots of little... Let's not break into song.
And there's also, I can't, and also... old-fashioned English nannies always used to say, if you ate something that was on the ground, you have to eat a peck of dirt before you die.
A peck. So, well, that's a lot then. Yeah, I'm scared about it, but I know. Over a life.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably close. Yeah, we got...
Sorry.
It's all right. Focus. What time do you need to be out of here so I don't, like now? Okay. I heard that, yes. Are you ready? You're ready to go. So here we are with Nigella Lawson, one of our all-time favorite authors, for your new book, Nigellissima. Did I say it right?
Perfectly.
Well, I'm not being Italian, but I just want to know, this is your 9th book.
I lean on a shelf.
Yeah, we can lean. 9th book, and you love Italian things. What took you this long to get to Italy?
Well, actually, as you know, all my books have got an awful lot of Italian recipes in.
Yes, they do.
So, I did want before to write perhaps what I thought was my Italian cookbook, but I just do things as I do, and I might make decisions, but the reality is decisions don't count for much because the book that comes out is the book that comes out. So, and I write autobiographically, so in a way, so much of Italy has gone into my books. When I came to this one, I thought, actually, one, I've done all the traditional Italian recipes I know. 2, the Italian food boom has really taken off since I started writing, so that I didn't want us to add to that, and I didn't really feel it was my place to write a trad Italian cookbook. Not least because it's a very complicated subject. You know, Italy doesn't really exist in a culinary way, it's all the regions.
Pieces of it.
So I felt, for me to be authentic, would really be to write to write a compilation of the recipes that I cook, that have come into my kitchen because of my love for Italy and because of the time I spent in Italy. So there's a bit, it's not fusion in a tricksy way, it's just, I suppose it's just my version of Italian food, and I feel that it was slightly given the stamp of approval by the fact that it has already been translated into Italian.
Oh, congratulations!
Published in Italy.
There you go.
So there you go.
It's a different cover from this one.
Oh, very different cover.
Very different. All 3 different covers.
The Italian one is just fabulously camp.
Yes.
I love it.
Is that your favourite one of the covers?
No, I don't really have a favourite because
they're all different.
Do you know what? It suits Italy.
Yes.
Yeah, I
wouldn't suits North America. The British one, I was a little very straight and reserved, which was so interesting.
Yes.
But and when first we heard you were doing the Italian book, we all said, not another Italian book. So you've addressed that though, because it isn't really another Italian book at all.
No, it isn't. It's kind of a love letter to Italian food. And partly because I lived there when I was 19 and I go back every year, but also I feel that not since the Roman Empire has Italy colonised the world like this. So it interests me how that has happened. What is it about Italian food that makes people from so many different cultures warm to it? And I think it's about the simplicity, the directness, the unmediated approach that's really about the food. And I suppose in a funny way that it's a very ancient cuisine, but it suits a contemporary way of life.
And a very family-oriented kind of thing, if you want the whole family to get involved in cooking as well.
Well, it really is, although I also do lots of recipes just for 2. But I think really the thing is that a lot of Italian food is slow cooking, but an awful lot is just quickly on top of the stove, because of course they didn't have ovens in their homes until relatively recently. And that sort of put a pan on the heat, put a bit of meat in, turn it over, throw a bit of lemon juice or some masala,
Yes.
whatever it is to deglaze and make a sauce. I mean, it really is food in about 5
Simplicity.
minutes.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to make something that should be complicated easy. It is food that is, by its very nature, straightforward.
And you talk about memories in this though too, and very chatty as you
Yes.
always are. Did this take you back? Because it was your gap year, I think, from reading
Yes,
books
it
and stuff.
did take me back, and I did actually travel back,
You did?
and it was strange. But and also, of course, when I actually lived in Italy, I had absolutely no money, and that's a very good teacher.
You were a
in terms of-
chambermaid, is
I
that
was a
right?
chambermaid,
Yeah.
not a lucrative profession. And so, and I think in a way that when you're a bit strapped for cash, you really have to think carefully about what you buy, and also you have to make cheap ingredients taste good.
Mother of invention, yes.
And that is a very good teacher in the kitchen.
And give you a lot of good cooking skills too. Because I
Yes.
think what happens too, I mean, we always love Marcella Zan with her classic Canana del Conte. They make you good cooks.
Yes.
Even though it is Italian food or not family, I mean, really hearty fare and everything else, but they do make you good cooks. So it's not just for that particular cuisine, it translates to many.
No, it completely does. And I feel I have an emotional attachment to Italy as well, because how
can you not have an emotional
No, what I
attachment?
mean, it's
Yeah.
quite apart from the food,
Yeah.
yes. But I feel it's a very kind of rather cheesy thing to say, but I sort of found myself.
Yeah.
But certainly I felt I discovered who I was. I learnt not to be such a tongue-tied, reserved English girl.
You don't think you could have written this probably 15 years ago then, perhaps? Now is a good time to write it?
I think whenever it happens is the right
It just
time.
comes out of you.
I think if you push, then it isn't the right time. And actually, you know, one day I might love just to go around the whole of Italy, going to everyone's house, itemising sort of recipes that have never been written down except in a bit of scribbled paper and stuck in somewhere in people's kitchens.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of that in there, because
Yeah.
I rent a vacation home in Italy, you know,
you
not
go.
the same one,
No.
different ones, and I'm, you know, I'm very nosy. I go into the kitchen and I find those books, and I've got
Yes.
like a ciambella, you know, like a bun cake that is so trad, which is when you get a little pot of yogurt,
Yes.
and then you use that yogurt pot to measure out all the other ingredients.
wonderful.
And every Italian seems to have that recipe, and I stole that. And so for me, but cooking is about emotional connections too. So
Yes.
so it makes sense.
So dare I ask, now I know you're on tour for this book, what's the next one?
I don't know. I've got a few things
Percolating
that are
on the burner?
simmering
On the
away in the
simmering?
back.
Good.
Simmering away in the back burner.
Not on the front
And I don't know which one will emerge.
Well, there's two or three, I'm
got
pleased
one,
at that.
I've got one
Yeah.
that I feel might be probably in many ways the sensible one to do next.
Oh, don't do
And
sensible.
No, not sensible, but I don't mean sensible in that
Oh,
sense.
gosh,
But
it's
sensible
sensible.
because I've been thinking about it
Okay.
a lot. But there's one I've been thinking about for many years that I feel might push and shove its way to the front.
Oh, good. We look forward to that.
And it's probably a bigger one. You know how I alternate. I do a
Yes.
small book. No, my idea of a small book isn't everyone else's. I do a small book
And then you
that's
do-
recipe led,
yes.
and then I do the big, slightly more narrative. And I feel I've got one that's slightly like that. That's really
The writer
desperate
coming
to come
out.
out. Yes.
Well, thank you. We look forward
Thank
to
you
that.
as ever. And now I want to
Okay.
spend some money.
Yes.
That's why I'm one of your favourites. Just because I spend so much money here. Okay. Thank you.